Most folks assume the secret to a spotlessly clean home is better products, stronger sprays, newer formulas, something from a commercial that promised results in 30 seconds flat. That belief is everywhere, and it has been very, very good for the cleaning product industry. But it is mostly wrong, and I have watched it lead people into years of unnecessary spending and, honestly, worse results than they would have gotten with almost nothing. Here is what I keep coming back to after years of paying close attention to what actually works in a home. The most reliably clean environments in the world are not cleaned with the most aggressive chemicals. They are cleaned with a method, a deliberate sequence, a mindset, a set of habits that almost anyone can adopt. Japanese hotels figured this out a long time ago, and what their cleaning staff do every single day is so fundamentally sensible that it makes most of what we do at home look completely backwards. Now, I want to be upfront with you. I am not talking about some secret potion or a product you have to order online. What I am going to walk you through today is a workflow, a way of moving through your home that stops dirt from spreading, cuts your cleaning time down significantly, and actually keeps things cleaner between sessions. By the end of this video, you will know the full Japanese hotel cleaning approach, understand why it works, and have a plain, practical plan for bringing it into your own home this week. If you want the full written breakdown, every step, every method, every surface covered in careful detail, open the camera app on your phone right now and point it at the QR code up in the top right corner of your screen. It will take you straight to the guide, and that QR code stays pinned up there for the whole video, so anytime something clicks for you and you want the deeper detail, just open your camera and scan it. No need to stop what you are doing right now. Let me get into it. First, let me tell you what the myth is that I want to knock down, because it really does shape everything else. The myth is that cleaning harder, more scrubbing, stronger chemicals, more elbow grease, equals cleaner. That is what most of us were taught, and it made sense in a world where the only tools available were soap, water, and a brush. But what Japanese hotel housekeeping is built on is almost the opposite idea. The principle is prevention over correction. The goal is to maintain a surface before it gets bad, rather than attack it after it has gotten bad. When you clean that way, you almost never need to scrub hard. You almost never need a harsh chemical. You are just keeping ahead of a problem that never gets a chance to settle in. I will tell you honestly, I ignored this idea for a long time. I thought it sounded fine in theory, but impractical in a real home with a real family and real time constraints. What changed my mind was watching how quickly a properly maintained space responds to a light pass versus how long it takes to restore a neglected one. The math is not even close. A maintained surface takes minutes. A neglected one takes an hour and a half and 2 knees on a bathroom floor. I know which one I prefer, so let us talk about tools, because this is where the first big surprise comes in. Japanese hotel cleaning crews do not roll in with a cart full of 30 different products. In my experience, the full kit they use for a guest room could fit in a small bag. We are talking about a handful of microfiber cloths in different colors, and the color coding matters, so stay with me. A neutral all-purpose spray that is closer to diluted dish soap than to anything industrial. A dry mop, a damp mop, and a small stiff brush for grout and tight corners. That is genuinely most of it. The color-coded cloths are one of the things I find most quietly brilliant about this system. One color for the toilet and surrounding floor. A different color for the sink and counters. Another for mirrors and glass. Another for general surfaces in the room. Those cloths never cross zones. The bathroom cloth never touches the bedroom nightstand. This sounds almost too simple, but think about what it actually prevents. When you use one cloth everywhere, you are spreading whatever was on the toilet seat to the kitchen counter. Most folks do not think about it that way, but that is exactly what is happening. The color system makes cross-contamination nearly impossible without any extra effort. You just reach for the right color. The neutral spray matters too. Japanese hotel cleaning philosophy, as I understand it, leans heavily on the idea that residue is the enemy. Strong chemical cleaners leave a film. That film attracts new dust and dirt faster than a plain surface does. So you are actually making more work for yourself by using the powerful stuff regularly. A lightly soapy spray, applied in a fine mist and wiped clean, leaves almost nothing behind. The surface stays clean longer, and over time, that matters enormously. Now here is something I want you to hold on to for a little while, because I am going to come back to it near the end of this video. There is one specific step in this routine that almost nobody does at home, and it is the one that does the most work. I will get to it, just keep it in the back of your mind. The sequence comes next, and this is where the system really shows its logic. Japanese hotel housekeeping always moves top to bottom, far to near, dry before wet. Let me explain each of those. Top to bottom means you never clean a surface below something you have not yet cleaned above it. Dust falls. Spray mist settles. If you wipe the bedside table and then dust the ceiling fan, you have just put new dust on the table you already cleaned. So you start at the highest point in the room and work your way down. Ceiling corners and light fixtures first, then walls and windows, then furniture surfaces, then floors last. Every time. No exceptions. The logic is so obvious once you see it that it is almost embarrassing how rarely anyone teaches it. Far to near means you start at the point in the room farthest from the door and work toward the exit. This keeps you from walking back over surfaces you have already cleaned. In a bathroom, you start at the back wall. In a bedroom, you start at the far corner. You finish at the doorway and step out without retracing a single step. Again, simple, and almost no one does it. Dry before wet is perhaps the most counterintuitive of the three. Most people reach for a wet cloth immediately. But if you hit a dusty surface with a damp cloth, you are turning that dust into a paste that smears and sticks. The Japanese hotel method is to do a dry pass first, a light dry cloth or a dry mop to lift loose dust and debris, and only then follow with the damp cloth. The damp cloth has almost nothing to fight at that point. It just picks up what the dry cloth loosened. The full step-by-step breakdown for every room, with the exact sequence for bathrooms, bedrooms, kitchens, and common areas, is all in the guide. Open your camera app, point it at the QR code in the top right corner, and you have got it. It lays out the whole method in plain language, room by room, so you are not carrying it all in your head. Let us talk about the bathroom, because that is where most people feel the most cleaning fatigue, and where the Japanese method makes the biggest immediate difference. The bathroom routine in this system starts with ventilation. You open the window or run the fan before you even pick up a cloth. The reason is simple. You are about to disturb dust, mold spores, and moisture that have settled on surfaces, and you want them moving toward an exit, not floating around and resettling. This one small habit, starting the fan first, takes zero extra time and meaningfully changes the air quality of the room while you work. From there, you spray the toilet tank, lid, seat, and base. All of it, in that order, top to bottom, with your neutral spray. You let that sit for just a moment while you move to the sink and mirror. The sink gets a dry wipe first to lift any loose powder or hair, then a damp wipe with your sink-designated cloth. The mirror gets a dry pass with a glass cloth, then a light damp pass. By the time you circle back to the toilet, the spray has done most of the loosening work for you, and a firm but not strenuous wipe handles everything. No scrubbing, no grimacing. The floor is last, swept dry first, then a quick damp pass. The whole bathroom, done this way, takes around 10 to 12 minutes the first time and gets faster every time after that, because you are never fighting built-up residue. I have done this long enough to say with real confidence, if you adopt nothing else from this video, adopt the bathroom sequence, and you will spend meaningfully less time in there for the rest of your life. The bedroom follows the same top-to-bottom, far-to-near logic, but with one addition that I think is particularly worth noting. Japanese hotel staff shake and straighten bedding before they do anything else, not to make it neat, to release whatever has settled into the fabric overnight. Then they leave the bed open, covers pulled back, while they clean the rest of the room. By the time they come back to make the bed, the mattress has aired out. The sheets are slightly fresher. This habit of letting things breathe before closing them back up is something I genuinely believe makes a difference over time, and it costs nothing at all. Furniture in the bedroom gets wiped in a deliberate order, the highest surfaces first, working down. Lamps, headboard, nightstand surface, drawer fronts, chair backs, baseboards. One dry pass, one lightly damp pass. The floor is last. A dry mop or a vacuum pass to collect what fell during the dry wipe, then a damp mop if the floor is hard surface. The whole room, if it has been maintained this way regularly, takes 15 to 20 minutes. And that is not rushing. Now I want to bring you to the kitchen, Because this is where I see folks make the most persistent mistake. The mistake is cleaning the counters first. It feels logical. The counters are at eye level, they are what you see, so you start there. But the stovetop and sink produce splatter and residue that lands on the counters. If you clean the counter before you clean the stove and the sink, you are cleaning it twice. The Japanese hotel sequence puts the sink and stove, the two heaviest dirt producers, first, and the counters after, then the small appliances, then the floor. The sink gets its own designated cloth, its own pass. The stovetop gets a short soak with the neutral spray before you wipe, the same way the toilet does. The counters, by the time you get to them, have caught maybe a little spray drift from the stove work, and a single damp pass handles it. The whole kitchen, maintained this way, rarely needs a deep clean because the light daily pass never lets anything accumulate into a project. Everything I just walked you through, the full room-by-room sequence, the cloth system, the exact order for each surface, is laid out carefully in the guide. Just open the camera app on your phone and point it at the QR code still sitting up in the top right corner of your screen. It puts the whole method in one place so you can reference it anytime. Now, here is the step I promised you earlier. The one that almost nobody does at home. The one that does the most work in the whole system. Japanese hotel housekeeping ends every session with what I can only call a finishing pass, and it is so simple that most people dismiss it when they hear it. At the very end of cleaning a room, you stand at the doorway and look, not to admire your work, to check. You scan the room from top to bottom, left to right, looking for anything you missed, any cloth left behind, any surface that caught the light differently and revealed a smear. You do not move on until you have done this scan. This habit does two things. First, it catches genuine misses before they become tomorrow's problem. Second, and more importantly, it trains your eye. After a few weeks of doing the finishing scan, you start seeing a room differently during the cleaning pass. You notice things before they become a problem, you adjust without thinking. The scan is only about 30 seconds, but it is what separates a maintained room from a cleaned room. A maintained room stays clean. A cleaned room just starts getting dirty again. I also want to mention one habit that runs underneath all of this that I think deserves its own moment. The Japanese approach to cleaning is built on the idea that you touch a surface once and leave it better than you found it. Not dramatically better, just a little better. This is sometimes called Kaizen thinking, continuous, modest improvement, though I am using it loosely here. The point is that you are not trying to do a perfect deep clean. You are trying to make a small positive difference every single time you engage with a surface. That mindset compounds over months and years into a home that almost seems to clean itself, because the baseline is always rising. If you want to bring this system home this week, here is how I would start. This week, adopt the top to bottom far to near rule in just one room. Pick the room that bothers you most. Do the dry pass before the wet pass. Use 2 different cloths, one for the toilet zone, one for everything else in the bathroom. Just those changes. See how the room responds at the end of the week. Next month, add the color-coded cloth system to the rest of the house. Pick up a few packs of cheap microfiber cloths in different colors and assign them by zone. This single investment, a few dollars, total, replaces a shelf full of specialty cleaning products you have been told you need. And the room will be cleaner for it. Before I wrap this up, I want to say something plain. There is not much money to be made in teaching people a method like this one. No product to sell, no refill to subscribe to, no machine to upgrade. The cleaning industry would rather you keep believing that the bottle with the strongest claim on the label is your best option. It almost never is. Time-tested, careful, methodical habits almost always outperform whatever is being marketed this year. Open the camera app on your phone one more time and point it at that QR code in the top right corner. It is still there. The guide covers everything we talked about today, and then some. The full surface-by-surface breakdown, the cloth system laid out clearly, the finishing pass method, and the underlying mindset that keeps a home clean with the least possible effort over time. It is the kind of resource you keep and come back to, not something you read once and forget. To put it plainly, this week, pick one room and run it top to bottom, dry before wet, far to near. Do the finishing scan at the door. See what you notice. And if you found this useful, I would genuinely love to hear from you in the comments. Did you already do something like this without knowing it had a name? Did your mother or grandmother clean this way? Tell me what you remember. Those comments are always my favorite part. Next time, we are going to look at how Japanese households handle laundry specifically, why they almost never use the amount of detergent the label recommends, and what happens to your machine and your clothes when you do. Subscribe so you do not miss it. And thank you, sincerely, for spending this time with me today.